Hello. Okay. Okay, so my name is Rachael Phillips. I have very recently got into a post for the Training Development Lead for the Leicester CRF. In that time, I've had some varying issues with my role in and out of it, so it's been busy. And then I've got Jamie, who I'll introduce a bit more later on. So basically, back in 2022, the role came out for the Training Development Lead. I applied for it and I got it. We had a lot of priorities that we highlighted as a beginning of this. The one that I'm going to focus on today is creating a new placement programme for the Leicester CRF for student nursing and midwifery and allied healthcare professional placements to engage with the universities. And that's the one I'm taking on at the moment. So why is it important? Why is it important to me? Why is it important in general? So I've just got a little thing that I took from the British Journal of Nursing, which is a thing that was done in 2023. And it talks about the nursing workforce crisis posed challenging for nursing professionals and potentially compromising patient safety. A recent study indicated that an additional 13 million nurses might be needed in the upcoming decade, which is nearly half of the global workforce of 28 million. So why is that important to me? Because in research, we are always looking for new talent. We're always looking for new people to come into roles, and we're always looking for people in our workforce. Staff succession, recruitment into new roles, greater understanding of the opportunities and progression pathways allows us to start to recruit that talent and start to get them interested. But I'm interested in getting them a little bit earlier on, so before they start to work in the workplace. So I don't know if anyone can do this here. I actually saw this at another conference the other day and I thought it was very interesting. I just wanted, by a quick show of hands, who in this room actually, when they came out of school, university, wanted to do a job in research? Yeah. So it's pretty fair to say that when we're all at university, research wasn't really our big thing, was it? It wasn't a big thing for any of us. So we weren't interested in it. We didn't really know about it. And I've found a lot since I've been doing research delivery that research delivery is not what people are very interested in. They don't really understand it. And we don't get a lot of that for our university students. So what I wanted to do was have a more hands-on placement, something that would inspire and involve students. What I started doing, I started going to the Leicester University and doing a lecture with the third-year students, thinking around their elective placements, but started talking about research delivery, about the role that I did, to try and give them an idea that there is other roles in research other than becoming just a PI or an academic, but also there was delivery parts of it as well, and there is a clinical side to it too. And the launch of the UK Student Placement Toolkit was also released as well. At the same time, around the same time, and then a student from the Leicester University also asked for a 4-week placement. So all of this happened in the space of about 3 months. So the stars aligned for me because it just made it a little bit easier to start thinking about and kind of push it forward that I was going to do this placement now. So June and July in 2023 was busy. We started the 4-week elective placement. I pre-met with a student to discuss the preferences. For me, it was a big thing to find out what they wanted. And I think it's very interesting with all of the work that we've done around inclusion is that's the biggest thing that we always need to think about. It's not us doing something to someone. They're coming and they want to get an experience. They want to get a good experience. And in order for them to get a good experience, we need to know what they want, what's their preference, what they need to get from this. So we adapted the toolkit that we got from the UK CRF to change it slightly for Leicester. And I think it's important with all the CRF resources because we have such a fabulous array of resources from the UK CRF and from the education group, but to adapt it to each area so that we can make it right for us. We gave him opportunities to work in different specialities in clinical and acute settings. He worked alongside the delivery team with practical guidance from experienced researchers, and we backed this up with some online learning and gave him some opportunities to look at the nationwide network. The nationwide network and resources as well. The student also attended the UK CRF conference last year to try and give a bigger understanding of what it means to be part of a nationwide network that is all concerned in delivering research. So what did we achieve? So we managed to inspire somebody, which I think is fantastic. So the student who we had was Jamie Percy Roberts. And as a result of this and the work that he did, and this is the important part because it is the work that he did, he became a finalist in the Student Nursing Times Awards for 2024 Clinical Nursing category, research category, and created a new innovative role for the Leicester University, which I'm hoping he will allow me to steal and replicate in other universities, called the Research Ambassador. So I'm now going to hand you over to Jamie, and he's going to talk a little bit about his experience.
Well, thanks for this opportunity. If anyone ever said to me that last year I'd be up talking at a conference, I would be absolutely shaking. But no, it's good that research institutions and places are allowing students to kind of have this voice and this opportunity, so I am very thankful. So first, from my perspective, a student perspective, there was a lot of kind of challenges that I had to face in terms of visibility of research spaces. It's really difficult considering that student nurses aren't really offered research opportunities as part of their degree. And I think that that's why a lot of people don't come out wanting to pursue research or have a negative experience of research, because it's plastered around the idea of academia. A lot of people, especially when you go in to speak to ward staff and you engage conversations about evidence-based practice, it's always about conversations about articles or policies. And there's a massive disconnect between the application of clinical skills and what you do as a nurse and how to transfer those into research skills, which I think I was very lucky to get when I went to the clinical research facility. But it's a great opportunity as well to find out whether or not you as a student are kind of research capacitus beyond just academia. Academia in itself is great for a myriad of reasons, but me and myself, I found that when I went to a clinical research facility, it was so much more different than what my actual expectations were. And I saw myself kind of working in that facility in the future. And if that opportunity never arose, then I could have done something that I don't believe I could have had my full passion in. So for Rachael saying the stars aligned, they did not align for me very easily. This is a quick summary of kind of all the different people I was lucky enough to meet and lucky enough to network with, and it really highlighted to me the importance of networking and the different teams in which you can engage and what can come out of it. There's a lot to read, but kind of summarized up in the purple is showing that a lot of these conversations never came out in a negative way. No one ever just cut me off. There was always a happiness for a student to engage in a project, whether or not it was to talk, bring more light to research and academics, whether or not it was to engage in PhD communities. There was always a space for students to talk, which I was quite happy with. Bringing on to kind of the opportunities I was able to get, Rachael kind of ran through a lot of them. It looks really pompous because my name is just plastered all over the side. But I was lucky enough to develop the CRF development strategy for students, which kind of centralizes around this idea of spiral learning. The toolkit in itself that came out, I found when kind of going through it from a student perspective, was quite limited. There was a lot of areas around reflection. And I thought, considering that I'm quite a passionate student about clinical research, I don't think reflection would have been enough for me to exude my passion and have some of the best research time I could have had whilst I was there. So this summary kind of centers around e-learning, consolidating your learning, but a lot about participation and where participation matters and how that itself builds you up to become research capacitus. And impact on my professional development. Again, my transferability between this and going on placements as well, because I'm still in my fourth year, I'm on my final placement. And because of this, I've got a lot of confidence to go out and talk to my research and development teams, to go out and become part of any research teams that are there and engage within research projects within my ward and have conversations about how people on the staff are feeling, how patients are feeling, and how recruitment is affected from kind of the ground floor up. So it was really great. I had a lot of great opportunities and a lot of transferable skills. And as Rachael slightly alluded to, I've changed my dissertation project when I finally completed my 4-week placement to the student research ambassador role. For me, I think we have very, very similar goals, that there's such a good opportunity to tackle this perception of research from an institutional level. So part of my project is allowing students to change their evidence-based practice curriculum to something that is called research-inspired education, which highlights the importance of going out and conducting research or shadowing people who have kind of their foot in the door with research, so that it's beyond just having a look at an article and being able to dissect an article. It's seeing yourself within research and seeing how research affects lives, and then having transferable skills, so when you graduate and you've got that relationship already with your research teams, so that you yourself become kind of a liaison link for your ward or wherever you decide to work. You become that liaison link between research institutions and the wards, and you're able to bridge those barriers. And it also allows student nurses to build up a research portfolio a lot earlier. A lot of research suggests that student nurses need to start having a look at their development within research, because of how difficult it is to get into research in the future, especially with mentorships and accolades into PhDs. So I'm very thankful. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll hand you back over to Rachael, if that's okay.
This sounds like a great training programme. How can you use what you've learned to adapt for non-clinical roles? These are a group that are often forgotten in the work community.
Yes, and it's actually quite close to home, actually, because I've got some non-clinical people in my team who have said the same thing to me. And I hope that it's difficult. My background is a nurse, so I've had a clinical background, and I work with, the work I'm trying to do at the moment is with the universities, and it is with the science groups, and it is with people doing that. But I know, not just myself, but I do know that the training groups and the education groups have got a lot of work around non-clinical people in mind, and that there is going to be opportunities within the CRF for them to do that. So yes, definitely we need to do something for non-clinical as well. Absolutely.
How did you navigate giving a student a hands-on experience with such a short placement and difficulties around delegation logs, access to e-systems and the such?
Well, I think we were quite unique in Leicester in the way that we work as a federated approach. So we have, in particular, at the Leicester Royal Infirmary, which is just across the way from us, we have the research space, which is one of the sort of hubs for the CRF, and that has a very mixed speciality group that he works in. So it was quite useful for Jamie to be able to come to that particular area and work across different specialities with some of the research nurses, some of them are in this room. And they were very helpful. And we utilised some of the toolkit's SOPs as well to allow us to see at what point you're always going to have limitations. But I think it's looking at those limitations within your CRFs and within your areas, because there's no reason why students can't come on. They don't need to go onto every delegation log for them to be able to be in a room and talk to people, or go to a ward and follow and shadow with a nurse. It's still part of their role as a student. So there's no reason why that can't happen. So it was good. And Jamie was able to do quite a lot of work with quite a lot of people.
Were the students already interested in research? And if not, have you had any that weren't interested in research? And if you did, how did you improve that engagement?
Well, that's what I'm working on. That's me going to the universities. We're very lucky in Leicester, and I'm sure a lot of us are really, in the relationships we do have with the universities. I've started with the University of Leicester and I started with nursing, but that's not where I want to stop. I want to try and get to the university. We've got Northampton, we've got Loughborough, we've got De Montfort as well. And I'd like to try and get something that works for all of them, because their placements in this kind of sense are very few and far between, as Jamie said. And there is a lot of students out there who are looking for placements and looking for something that's going to tickle their interest. So you have to go to them to try and to show them that it's there. So that's my plan, is to try and get to more universities, do more lectures, get more interest.
And last question, should we have more opportunities for students to come straight into research as a career pathway?
Yes. Yes, I think it allows you to kind of, if you know what you want to do and you have this passion, I think a young passion should be something that's quite envied. You know, there's something about wanting to gain those skills hands-on and straight on. And I think if you don't start them initially, you risk a lot of burnout, and you risk not being able to retain the kind of enthusiasm a lot of people have for research. So I think getting people early on is kind of, for me, one of the best things that you can do. There's a lot of people passionate out there. Create the opportunities. If there was a preceptorship, I would take one. But yeah, completely.
Thank you.
Thank you.